Blog Talk Radio.
Goldilocks Productions provides professional internet, TV, and radio shows in the spiritual and New Age genre.
Strap yourself in, because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Hello, everyone. This is Carolan Carey, your host of our new show, In the Psychic Flow. Thank you for joining me this evening. We have a wonderful guest. Her name is Karen M. Wyatt, MD, and she has a terrific background in some of the things that I am incredibly interested in. As a psychic medium, I deal with a lot of grieving families. I am the Psychic Medium of Sarasota, or SRQ as we refer to it, and I sought out Dr. Wyatt's advice here. She has a wonderful website, which is Karen M. Wyatt, MD. She's a physician, an author, and a spiritual teacher. What is remarkable in particular about Dr. Wyatt, she has a great website, but she also has a tremendous ability of dealing with people who are dying and the families of those people. She has dedicated a lot of her career and her life to this work, and she discusses many subjects on her website. She has programs of personal learning courses. She has the Mind Shift Blueprint. She also has several books out. The one in particular that I am really looking at is her newest book, and I think she'll be glad to talk about that. Without further ado, let me bring Dr. Wyatt on. I just want to point out that she hosts an online interview series entitled End of Life University, which features interviews and conversations about all aspects of the end of life. And since I deal with a lot of people that have crossed over in the spirit world and their families, I thought her inspirational work would be of interest to you. Now, she has a great new book, which really caught my attention, What Really Matters, 7 Lessons for Living from the Stories of the Dying. And I have that in common with you, Dr. Wyatt. The reason that I speak to those who have departed on behalf of their families is because I want to hear what they have learned and the advice they have for us for living. So without further ado, Dr. Karen Wyatt, can you join us, please?
Yes. Hello, Carolan.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Is it okay for me to call you Karen?
Yes, please do.
Okay, great. Now I feel like I know you a little bit better, but I wanted to defer to your title and the wonderful information that you share with us. You had mentioned one podcast on here was how you felt, your definition of spirituality. Can you share that with us?
Yes, well, I believe, and I know many other people have said this too, that we are spiritual beings who are on this planet to have a physical experience. We come here to inhabit physical bodies, to experience life and death as a human being. And so in my mind, everything is spiritual. All of our lives and everything we experience is spiritual because it's part of the group of lessons that we came here to learn. And so that's what I really focus on for myself, at least, is trying to figure out what can I learn from every single thing that happens to me, and how will it help me grow as the spiritual being that I am.
Beautifully put. What do you feel that from all of your experience, can you give us some of the things that have been of the most importance to those people who are passing over? What is your concerns?
Yes. Well, the most common thing I heard from the many hundreds of patients I sat with and talked with at the end of their lives is that they recognized the importance of love. And for most of them, I mean, it can sound trite in a way to talk about love, but most of them realize that how deeply profound love is when you genuinely live your life through love and loving other people. And the title of my book came from one man. In fact, he had been in the banking industry for all of his life. He had tons of money and lived in a huge mansion, but he was estranged from his wife and son, hadn't seen them for years, and was all by himself. And he's the one who said to me, I just now figured out what really matters. And it's the one thing that I've pushed away from me for my entire life. It's love. And he said, now I only have a few weeks left to try to get as much love in my life as I can. And that was so powerful for me to think of all the times when maybe I put something else ahead of love in how I live my life. When if I really let love lead, I might make different choices.
Right. Great advice. We would hate to be at the end of our life to discover that that's the important lesson, correct?
Yes.
That's a regret. I agree with you. That has to be the most important thing. Not always easy with life, trying to make a living or raise families or whatever. You're trying very hard to do a lot of shuffling. And I think when you're running out of time, it must be, based on my experience, what was, you don't hear anybody saying, I wish I worked more. I wish I made more money, right? You don't hear that at the end of life.
Yes, absolutely. And along with love, the other thing I heard most often from patients is that they were working very hard on forgiveness, either to forgive other people or to be forgiven by people that they felt they might have harmed in their lifetime. And that also made an impact on me to realize that forgiveness is such important work that we really need to make time for that as well throughout our lives.
So we don't want to pass from our earthly life into the spiritual life with, I don't want to say hatred, but unforgiveness or unsettled business into the next. Is that your take as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I would imagine you've heard something similar through your work, too.
Yes, I have. And the reason that I like to speak to my sole purpose, I feel, is to work with grieving families and connect them with their loved ones on the other side, is because they have so much to teach us. They teach us how to live. Hearing their regrets or their what their last things that they want to say as they say goodbye or whatever, or to send a message to their loved ones, is always of joy, hope, and encouragement, which is great. And they've had a life review. Do you feel that, did you get the sense of that with your patients and your clients as well? They knew what to expect on the other side, or heaven, or was it a mixed bag of feelings?
It was a mixed bag, I would say, because some people had actually thought about it and kind of worked on preparing themselves for death, and others avoided it altogether until the very last minute. But I saw many people who had, during the last few days of life, when they were often in a more in and out of a comatose state, who seemed to be experiencing that life review. And I saw many patients who would talk to loved ones who had already departed, and even when they would be awake would tell us about visitors they had had or visions they had seen in the room of loved ones who had departed. So it was very common for patients to have those experiences while they were still alive. And everything I saw, for the most part, they were always positive experiences. They were experiences of people coming with love to welcome them.
That's beautiful. Exactly. That's been my experience as well. And I think that has to be very comforting at the end. I would hope for that, too. I like the fact, one of the reasons I don't deal with the paranormal as much, I can, but I prefer not to. I prefer to deal with people in spirit that have made their transition into whatever summer land or heaven or the other side, whatever people want to, or paradise, whatever people want to refer to it as. because they have that life review and they've learned something. They've learned a lot, and they can teach us a lot. Do any of your patients or clients that were ready to, that were terminal, were they making any preparations spiritually? Do you know of it? Did they discuss that?
Yes, many of them did. Many of them talked about how to get ready to die in a way, and talked about things they felt they needed to finish or tie up before they could die. And I did see a great deal of transformation also. I saw people who learned things about themselves, in the last few days of life, and who maybe had a reconciliation with someone they haven't spoken to for years, and sort of broke open to a new way of seeing life. And it was really profound to witness that, how quickly some of those transformations happened when people were right at the very end, and I think they were at their most open at that time and the most ready to receive higher wisdom then.
Well, they were certainly very fortunate to have you as their physician and spiritual advisor or person to be with. I can think of nobody better that I would rather pass away with, to be honest, is someone like yourself who's so knowledgeable. I think it would be very, very reassuring. Let me just divert 1 second and we already have callers queuing up. This is what they do at the beginning of the show. Dr. Wyatt will not be taking calls about this unless you specifically say that, but you can certainly address any questions and any thoughts to her at her website, Karen M. Wyatt, MD. She is a physician, author, and spiritual teacher. She has many, many helpful things on her website, her store, her blog, library, all of her books, her programs, which I think is very helpful to people. And I would refer them, now that I know about you and I know about your website, I would refer grieving families to your resources because they really do need that. Sometimes a reading with me is also a lot of counseling comes up, the necessity of counseling, and I'm not a professional counselor, so I try to refer them to some place where I think they can get help, and I would definitely refer them to your website. Let me tell our callers that after we finish our interview with Dr. Wyatt, we'll be taking a few calls. Let me get back to some more questions for you, Karen. Your program, you created Creative Healing, LLC. Can you talk to us about that?
Well, the idea came as an inspiration to me that I view healing as an act of creation, like creating something new, that our health and our wholeness is something that we can create along with the divine in the moment by being open to it and working towards it. So that idea came to me as something that was somewhat unique as an aspect of medicine, because being trained in Western medicine, I still feel Western medicine doesn't allow for very much creativity. A lot of it happens just according to protocols and standards that have been set up, and there's a lack of creativity sometimes and a lack of focus on the individual and what each individual needs. And so my whole approach was to keep in mind all of this information I'd learned and all the knowledge I had, but to really be with each person in the moment and creatively figure out what is the best thing for this person right now that will help them become whole. And it may not be printed in a medical book anywhere. It may be something completely different that we come up with together that this person needs for their healing.
How do you feel that your talk, I read that you had spoken in front of a huge medical group at a conference about your approach. How is that received by other physicians?
It was very interesting because I've never been more nervous for giving a presentation as talking in front of my peers and this whole room full of other doctors. And I did not feel, while I was speaking to them and I was talking about death and dying and why they need to learn about it and understand it and work with their patients and not abandon their patients who are dying. And I didn't feel that they were resonating with me. I didn't feel very much positive energy coming from them. So I was very nervous and feeling pretty discouraged about it. But when the talk was over, many of them came up to me privately in the hallway and said, "That's the best talk I've ever heard. Every doctor everywhere needs to hear it." And so what I realized is they were sitting at round tables together, and none of them could show the other doctors at the table that they were moved by what I was saying. They were being so professional in their demeanor. But later, so many of them came up and talked to me, and then I realized what was happening, that they were just resistant to showing what they were feeling, but they actually were moved by it. And so I see we have a lot of work to do in Western medicine to help doctors get more comfortable and more familiar with these subjects, but at least in the end, I did get some positive feedback.
That's great, and I thank you for doing that. I'm sure it had to be feeling quite lonely as you started your discussion, but I'm so glad that people reached out to you and doctors reached out to you. That's fabulous. Fabulous. You've made a difference.
I hope so. I
think you did. I think you
trying.
Really did. Let me also ask you, with this book, your latest book, What Really Matters, there's also like a workbook as well with this, or journaling. Can you talk about that?
Yes, the book has these 7 lessons in it that I learned from my patients, and I decided it would be nice to have something really practical that people could use. So I created the workbook, and it has journaling practices, meditations, affirmations that go with each one of the lessons, so that if someone really wants to study those lessons in more depth for themselves and apply the information, they can use the workbook to help them have a deeper experience with it.
That's great. I think that's a big help on how to apply these 7 lessons to your life now, which is so we don't have the regrets. And also, what do you advise families that I think there's some resources here on your beautiful website about how to help families help their loved one die. Is there a way to help them through this?
Well, I think one thing that family members can learn is if they're able to confront their own fears and try to deal with their fear of death, it will be very helpful for them to help them be more present with their loved one, because what their loved one needs more than anything is just having people around them who can be calm and who can listen and be still with them in the last days of life. And so the more inner work the family members can do to deal with their own fears and also deal with other emotions that are coming up, the more helpful they can be in terms of being present. And then I think as well, remembering to tell their loved one why they love them, to express their love, to even be open to saying, I forgive everything that has happened between us. I'm not holding on to any of that. And that can also be really helpful. But in my own experience, I got to take care of my mother when she was dying, so I had a chance to be the caregiver myself. And mostly what she needed from me was for me to sit with her and just be quiet and just listen when she wanted to talk, and just sort of be with her and offer her my emotional support. Beautiful. Maybe that is the connection is there, and no words need to be spoken, is what I get from that. There's a need for connection, whether you speak or not. Just to be there is so important. Yes, definitely. And some people say it's important to let your loved one know that it's all right for them to go, especially if it's a parent. Sometimes parents fear leaving their children behind, and might need to know, I'm going to be okay. I can take care of myself, and I'll be okay. It's all right if you move on to the next place and what you need to do next, and let me go.
Wow, that's beautiful. Speaking about parents passing, you also have Heal Your Childhood Wounds and Get Over It for Good. Boy, that's a great topic, isn't it? That's a great resource. Mm-hmm. I just turned 63 and retired, and I'm doing my mediumship full-time. And, you still come across childhood issues coming up, even at my age. And I would imagine even older people go through this. What do you say about that? What is the best thing that we can do? And I'm going to push your 6-module audio course, which is Heal Your Childhood Wounds and Get Over It for Good, which is definitely something that I am looking forward to listening to. What advice can you give us on how to do that?
Well, first of all, I think we need to recognize that we all have wounds because none of our parents are perfect. So, things happened in our childhood. Sometimes things our parents couldn't prevent. And just in my own case, I became aware, I didn't really understand the significance of this, but when I was 9 months old, I developed encephalitis, and I was hospitalized for a few days, kind of taken away from my parents and kept in the hospital and given spinal taps and all kinds of blood tests. And I never thought twice about it until I started to confront this really deep inner anxiety that I had that I could never explain. I could never figure out where it came from. And one day when I sat and thought about what was it like for a 9-month-old baby to be taken away from her parents and be in the hospital with all these strangers poking needles into her, and as soon as I had the thought, I instantly started to cry, and I understood oh my gosh, I've been carrying this pain for all these years of my life. So I think there's an open-mindedness first of recognizing, we all do have those traumatic experiences that may have happened in childhood that could be triggering some of the symptoms that we have now. So part of this workshop that I created is really helping people identify it, going through their childhood stages and learning about the development that happens at each stage of childhood and thinking about their own family situation and where things might have gone awry for them. So for me, that at the age of 9 months, that was a really big issue. Clearly, that happened to me. It was nobody's fault. It wasn't anything that anyone did to me. They saved my life, basically, but understanding that those are some of the wounds that we still carry, just the normal things that happen in the course of a life.
And it's so important. There's no way you can get away from that. It is going to pop up. From my own personal experience, it is going to pop up from time to time, or it could be affecting some trauma or something that happened in childhood or the way you look at things. I think sometimes it is best to get to the root of it so that you can move on. It gives you a little bit more understanding. During this course, Heal Your Childhood Wounds and Get Over It for Good, this is excellent information, audience, and I want to point that out to my listeners. Dr. Wyatt combines her knowledge of childhood development, brain neuroscience, psychology, and contemplative spirituality to provide you with a plan for healing the hidden wounds of childhood that may be sabotaging your relationships, your spiritual growth, and your ability to remain in the present moment. Beautiful. We get a lot of calls on this show of people, should I do this? Am I with the right person? How does my mother feel about me? Sometimes if you can just address these childhood wounds, you can solve these mysteries of yourself. Would you agree to that?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's one reason I created the course is because once I had that realization of, the trauma I experienced, suddenly I was able to trace the threads of it throughout my entire life. And I was able to see, wow, that's why this happened, because I still had this terrible anxiety that something bad was going to happen to me out of the blue that I couldn't control. And, I could see the pattern all the way through my life running through. And a couple of things happened. One is that I began to recognize that actually helped shape who I am today. Like the trauma that happened, if that's part of who I am now, that helped create who I am today. And also deciding I can embrace that. Like there's no one to blame, and there's nothing to be upset about. It was just an interesting part of my life that contributed to who I am. But as soon as I recognized where the anxiety came from, every time that anxiety started to come up, I could look at it and think, oh, that's because of when I was 9 months old. And I would think, it's okay. I could tell myself then, it's okay. You're safe. You're all right. Everything's going to be fine. And I kind of knew how to even address the anxiety within myself.
That's beautiful. It's such a help. It really is. I can't stress that enough, because I still have things come up from time to time. And what you said is very true. It's an acceptance of what you have experienced in this life and who you are, and it does form who you are. So if you're wondering why you do some crazy things, it might be because of some childhood wound that hasn't been addressed. It's beautifully put. I cannot stress to our readers, our listeners, enough to get on your website and read. You also have videos here, podcasts. Is there any new projects coming up for you, as if you don't do enough, that you would like to bring to our attention and shout out to our listeners?
There's one thing I'm doing right now it's just available for free. I'm doing a reading group, an online reading group called A Year of Reading Dangerously is the name of it. And we're reading one book a month about death, dying, or the afterlife. And so all this year, we did it all last year also, and there are 1,000 people from all over the world who signed up for this reading group. So it's been really fun. All these people are coming together, and we're all reading the same books at the same time. And so that's kind of something just for fun to offer for people who like to read, who might want to, get inspired to read some books they may not have chosen for themselves.
Right. I would definitely be interested in that, because I deal with it a lot, and I have read some things, and I would be really delighted to read what you wrote about that. I can't thank you enough for coming on and being a guest. It's an unusual show for you, I'm sure, because you've been everywhere. You are acknowledged. You're based in Utah, and you've been acknowledged pretty much everywhere for your work, correct? You're on the Denver Post. You have USA Today, Publishers Weekly. Incredible. That is, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to spend with me tonight. I'm really very grateful to you for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm delighted to talk with you.
I've learned so much already, and I can't wait. I want to join that book club, and I encourage my listeners to do that. Is there any other words of wisdom that you can give us today, as someone who's going through a hard time with a death? It's I always say funerals and weddings are probably the worst experiences for a family that's dysfunctional. This really blows them out. Any words of advice that you can give us?
Well, I've come to learn that, like I said before, we're spiritual beings, and we come to this planet to take on a physical body, partly so that we can experience grief, so that we can experience loss and experience death. Because as souls and spirits, we don't die. We don't experience that. And so we inhabit these physical bodies so that we can experience it, and it's one of our greatest learning opportunities. So even though it's extremely painful to lose a loved one, the entire experience is designed to deepen us and help us grow and expand to become our best selves. So it's important for us to go through it, let it happen, and experience all of it, even all of the pain, because in the end, there's so much growing we can do because of that.
That's beautiful. I also I agree with that 100%. And I just wanted to say I often have to encourage people that have lost a parent, a husband, a sister, brother, children. Children, I think, is probably one of the hardest things to deal with. Reminding them that they have a sole purpose here, even if their loved one has passed away, because a lot of people are either suicidal, overdose, or really can't cope with that death. Would you agree that to encourage them that they still have a purpose here?
Yes, absolutely. And this is part of the reason that they're still here is to uncover that purpose. And sometimes going through the grief is how they're going to find it. And in my own story, the way I got involved in this work is that my father died of suicide when I was much younger, a brand new doctor in practice, and it was through his death that I went to hospice to learn about death and dying, and started working with other people who were grieving. And all of the work I do now came as a result of my process of grief over my dad's death.
Thank you for sharing that with us. It really firms up what I had originally felt about you, is that you're so authentic and so supportive, and to share your experience really helps the rest of us, me and the listeners as well as in the Psychic Flow. You've been a wonderful guest and so patient to allow me to ask you all these questions. It's Karen M. Wyatt, MD, is her website. Dr. Wyatt is remarkable, as you have just heard, and I hope that you will spend time with us again in the future. I'm definitely going to be back in touch and doing some work with your programs. I'm delighted. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Carolan.
I've just had a wonderful time speaking with you. I feel like I've met a new mentor, and I am very pleased, and I'm sure our listeners are as well. Thank you, Dr. Wyatt, for joining us tonight.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Well, hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our interview with Dr. Karen Wyatt. I thought that was stunning inspiration for the rest of us. We do have some callers queuing up, and I didn't want to put you off too much longer, so I'm going to take the first call. Area code 310 is our first caller, if you'd like to join us. Oh, okay. 310 is no longer on our queue line, so we're moving on to 347.
Hello?
Hi. How can I help you? This is Carolan.
I just have a love question. My name's Tanika. I'm calling from New York, and I just wanted to know my feelings are growing for someone that I'm sort of seeing now. Just wanted to see how you pick up he feels about me.
What's his name, or can you give me an initial?
Yep, his name is Frank, and I have his date of birth if you need it.
I'm not that wizardry. That is Joanne Leo. I'm kidding. Let me see. How does he feel? I'm getting an image of shuffling cards. You know when somebody is getting ready to play poker or something, they're shuffling cards. I kind of feel like he's reviewing his life. Have you ever heard the expression, sometimes you have to deal with the cards you've been dealt? Mm-hmm. Have you heard that? Okay. That's what I'm getting kind of with him. And he's flipping things around. I don't think he's ready to settle. Unfortunately, settled down. I think there is a caring and a fondness there. That's my unprofessional opinion. I think that you have a tremendous resource within you of caring almost too much. But you are a gentle person and worthy of being adored is my feeling. This gentleman seems to be, to me, a nice guy, but I don't feel that he's quite knows where he is yet. So if it feels like your caring is maybe not returned as much, or it's not that he doesn't care for you, it's just that I feel him shuffling these cards like he's not sure where he's going, career path or something like that. Does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
Okay. So I don't think he's rejecting you. I just don't think he is on the same wavelength as you at the moment. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but I feel that he is not as invested yet as you are. And I don't mean that unkindly. That happens with women. I think we jump right in. We're okay with this. We can move on. Let's go forward. I just feel that he is not quite ready yet. So I wouldn't give up on him or anything. I don't feel that you would do that. I think you're being patient. So that's for you to decide. But it's not you, dear. It is his own things, trying to figure out his place in the world, what he wants to do, his future, this kind of thing. Does he have 2 children, or are there 2 children somewhere?
He has a female best friend who is married, and she has children. I don't think he has any. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, but he's around 2 children, though, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. That's a meaningful. The relationship with the children is meaningful. So this may have him a little distracted. So you have to look at yourself, I think. If I was Psychic Joanne Leo, who will be on next week for Valentine's Day, give us a call back and let her nail that one for you. But I just feel, he's not quite sure where he belongs yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for you, if this isn't happening fast enough, you might want to keep your eye open. What do you think about that?
I think that's true.
Okay. I do feel that you, if it isn't this gentleman and if it's another gentleman, there is someone out there that would cherish you, and that's what you are looking for. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. You have to have, to me, having been married badly twice, they were dicey relationships. I am not the one to give marital advice, believe me. But I know what I was looking for, and I didn't get it. But I didn't know what I was looking for. So the advice from Psychic Joanne Leo is to think about what is your list of non-negotiables. Write that list. What is it that you will not accept? Make sure in your mind just what is tolerable to you, or what you can deal with and what you can't, what you're looking for. Just put that down so that it reminds you not to fall in love with just somebody. He may be kind, he may be nice, but is he really into you? I think that's the big thing. So I'll shut up now, but I wish you a lot of luck with this. I do feel a nice gentleman that cherishes. I feel 2019, 2020, you're going to have your answer. But I want you to be the picker. I want you to be the person that picks. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you're welcome, dear.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Let's see who we have. We have area code 210. Could I speak to you, please?
Oh, hello. I'm just listening.
Hi, this is Carolan. Can I help you with something today?
I was just listening.
And what did you think of the show?
I think your show was awesome. I loved hearing the lady who wrote the book that's a medium, and I really enjoyed hearing about her experience.
Oh, which one was that? Was that this week or last week?
Carolan?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
This week. Yes, the lady this week.
Oh, Dr. Karen Wyatt. Yeah, I think her advice is remarkable, and I really thank her for sharing that about her father's suicide. I thought that was really touching and how difficult that must have been for her. But look what she did with her life as a result I think that's the message. So I appreciate you listening and any feedback that you want to give us. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Do I have any questions? This is my first time listening to your show, so I don't know what you focus on. So.
Oh, okay. I'm being told I have lots of listen mode, so I guess I better keep talking because I still have some time. I'm glad you like the show. The purpose of In the Psychic Flow, I had a radio show last year called Psychic Flow on a different network. This one is live so that we can take callers. I can share about myself. I'm a psychic medium from Sarasota, Florida, and I work with grieving families that have lost a loved one and want to make a connection with their loved one on the other side or in heaven. And as I discussed with Dr. Wyatt, that's my sole purpose, and I'm very glad that as a physician, she is supportive of that. She understands the end of life. So I thought it was a beautiful interview, and I thought it was great.
I love that.
Good.
Can you connect with anyone from the other side for me?
Say your name for me again, please.
Pearl.
Yes, go ahead and say your name.
Pearl.
Pearl? Oh, pearl, like in jewelry?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's beautiful. I'm supposed to remind our listeners if they want to talk to me, they have to press 1. Takes them out of listen mode and into the queue so they can talk. Pearl. Oh, boy. Do you have a grandmother that's passed away? I feel like maybe mom's side. Do you have that person in spirit?
Yes.
Okay. What I get with that, the first word that she shot to me was divinity. So I feel that you must have divinity or have the belief in divinity within you, and which is beautiful. She just wants to let you know. I feel as if she wants to say to you, just as a pearl, you are named as a gift. Would you understand that? You are named after a gift. Like a pearl is very precious, and that is a beautiful gift that has been brought to your family. Would you understand that?
Yeah, my mother used to tell me that.
Oh, okay, good. Now, is your mother passed as well?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to say to you, I have it's almost like two bumblebees on the same flower, your mother and grandmother. They feel together, enjoying things together. I bring up flowers because that seems to be particularly of interest to both of them. They want to let you know it's okay. We are okay, and we're doing great. I want to sing some hymns. Would you understand that?
To my grandmother, yes.
Oh, okay, good. So it's over on the other side. We are singing, okay? And we're singing a particular hymn that she really liked. And it's an old-style one. It might be, The Rock I Stand On or an old-style hymn, but it has quite a lot of beauty to it. She wants to let you know that you are asking about something and praying about something. She says your prayers will be answered. Please know it doesn't always come the way we expect, but it will be answered nonetheless. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, there's a couple of them I've been praying about, so yeah.
Okay. So hang in there and keep the faith. Okay, Pearl?
Love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next caller is area code 425. I feel like I'm playing bingo.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
My name is Ty.
Ty. T-Y?
T-Y-E.
T-Y-E. That's pretty.
Thanks.
What's your question today, dear?
So I had a question about my work environment and a couple of people. I can give you some names. Just wanted to find out about it.
Work environment. Oh, here we go. Boy, I am so glad I'm retired now. I just couldn't take it. I didn't mind my job at all, really, but sometimes the people you work with get under your skin, Do I have a female that has that feeling around you, that you have the feeling about that female? Somebody kind of gets under your skin?
Yes.
Okay. So let me see. You know what I'm being shown is there's a dividing line here. I almost feel like they don't know what boundaries are. Would that be correct? Because what I'm being shown is a line here, and I feel like somebody is crossing that line.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
At times, I think, well, with this person, I don't know if you need her name, or if that would help, or...
Go ahead.
Her name is Helen.
I feel like there's, is there a hint of, do you have a hint of suspicion about her?
Yeah, I just, I don't know, something about her is not rubbing me the right way.
Okay, so that's good. All right. So what I want to say to you about this, you are justified in your feelings, so trust your intuition. I also feel that this line here that I'm getting, I keep drawing repeatedly, means don't let her cross it. We can still be friendly to people. I've had to do this many times. I'm not very well, but I finally learned to keep them at a distance. You're civil, you're polite, but I think you learned who you can trust and who you can't. And maybe that's where you're about. It doesn't mean we have to kick them out of our lives, but we may not want to bring them in any closer. How does that feel?
And then another person, I can give you his name.
Okay.
He works with me. His name is Emmanuel.
I almost feel as he is named for a reason, but I don't know. It's an honor for him to have that name, but I don't know if he lives up to that honor. Would you understand what I'm saying?
He doesn't, yeah.
Okay, good. Good. It's a shame. It's hard to fill the boots of something like that. That's a beautiful name, and it's very hard to own up to that, to be that. I think he's in a joking manner. I think he's somebody that you can speak to, but I read something very interesting about people that you work with. These are people that you go to work, you do your job, and you go home. To expect anything more out of them is crazy. And I have made that mistake. I have known people for 12 years, and I left my job, and I was very surprised at the people that I had no desire to remain in contact with. And I had been very close to them through some of their things, but it's a work relationship. It's rare. Some people do make friends at work, and they continue with that, but I was not able to do that in this case, or I didn't wish to. So I don't feel this is somebody who's going to be in the future. I do get the word promotion for you. So if your suspicion revolves around something like that, I wouldn't allow it to crowd you, because I feel there's a promotion or a better offer coming.
Really?
Yes. So I would hang in there and keep my eyes open. I'm getting 2020. So this is the year of preparation for you. Keep your eyes open, because there may be a better opportunity either somewhere else or where you are, but you deserve more. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. So you see that in 2020?
Yes, between now, which is 2019, and 2020.
Oh, okay.
All righty.
Okay.
So thank you, dear, for calling in and waiting. I appreciate that, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome, dear. Thank you, callers, for calling in. I knew you were queuing up, and I did slip that interview in there. Next week, we have the delightful and Chicago-style reader, psychic Joanne Leo. You don't want to miss that on Valentine's Day, because she is powerful, blockbuster, charismatic, loving, and direct. All you have to do is call in. with the initials of your loved one or a person you would like to speak about, and the date of birth. That's important. So what Joanne Leo does is she is the soul reader. She is able from that information to connect with their soul purpose and their soul map, if you would like, and give you a little insight on what this person is truly like. She is dead on. She is also a life coach. She was very, very helpful to me when I had a traumatic kind of emotional situation, and she walked me through that. Her website is psychicjoanneleo.com, and she would be glad to talk to you. But she will be here next week for Valentine's Day, so if you have your eyes on someone and you kind of want to get a little bit more info, or you're in a relationship already, give us a call next week. We'd be delighted to have you on the show and ask your questions. The number to call in next week is 713-955-0594. Once again, my name is Carolan Carey. I am your host of In the Psychic Flow, where we discuss the magical, mystical world of metaphysics and spiritual topics, the paranormal, all kinds of psychic arts, and we would be delighted for your suggestions. If you'd like, my website is carolancarey.com, Carolan, and Carey is Carey.com. Love to hear from you. If you have any further questions or want to book a reading with me, that would be great. Love to do it. Don't forget to tune in next week. We're going to be doing some different things. I hope that you enjoy the show on Goldilocks Productions and Blog Talk Radio. This is a new experience for me. I moved over from Society Bites Radio, but I'm still on iHeart and Blog Talk and Spreaker and all of that, and I hope that you will enjoy our further shows. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to let me know. So I'm going to wrap that up this evening because we don't have that many callers right now. So I'm going to give you a break and give my voice a break tonight. I've enjoyed being on here with you, and many thanks again to Dr. Karen Wyatt. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. Thank you.
Napa know-how.
Right now, you can get a $20 prepaid Visa gift card by mail with the purchase of a Napa Legend Premium Battery. Its durability and power make it the obvious choice for people who hate getting stranded by a dead car battery. So pretty much everyone. The Napa Legend Premium Battery and $20 back. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores and Napa Auto Care Centers. Limit 2 per household while supplies last. Offer ends 2/28/19.
The all-new Toyota RAV4 asks, what if? What if your ride was refined and rugged at the same time? Introducing a car that's got style and substance to spare. The all-new RAV4 Limited, featuring a sophisticated, muscular new exterior and available options like a premium JBL audio system and panoramic roof. The all-new RAV4 Limited. Toyota, let's go places. JBL and Clarifier, registered trademarks of Harman International Industries Incorporated.